Welcome to Being Intrepid. Josh, I'm really glad you could join me today.
Yeah, great to be here.
So, Josh Cavalier is with us here today. We're recording live from DevLearn, and Josh is a real innovator in educating learning professionals around all things AI. Did I capture that in a nutshell?
I try to incorporate as much as possible when I talk about AI. So yeah, I think you did a pretty good job there.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, awesome. So, Josh, before we started rolling, you're a busy guy at this conference, right? So you've got, what is it, 4 sessions?
Well, yeah, it's four. I had a workshop, and then I was the MC for the AI Summit. I
Okay.
had what they call a morning buzz, which was kind of like an opportunity for individuals to talk about different topics. This morning was AI and ethics, and that was a lot of fun. And then tomorrow I do have a session on um, the role maturation of going from a learning professional to a human machine performance analyst. So it's a
Yeah.
very full week for me here at DevLearn.
Yeah, yeah. So I always like to kind of start with a little bit of a get to know you, a little bit of
Yeah.
personal side. So I want to hear a little bit about your origin story. And you started off as a medical illustrator.
Yeah.
And tell us about real quick that journey from your medical illustrator days to e-learning guru and all things AI.
Well, I think in my brain it is art and science.
Yes,
For me,
love that.
and so my muse has always been geeking out about technology, or even when I was younger, I guess biology,
Okay.
because of
Yeah.
medical illustration. So I went to the Rochester Institute of Technology, but I took my
Okay.
pre-med at University of Rochester.
Okay.
As when I got out of school, I did medical legal, and I started my first business, actually called Biodesigns,
Okay.
and I was doing demonstrative evidence for court cases. But as a young man, I found that being thrown into situations where you had doctors being sued for malpractice, and you had lawyers. I'm like,
Right.
man, this is heavy stuff. I don't know
Yeah.
if I want to
Right.
do this.
Right.
But while I was at RIT, I got exposed to multimedia. I got exposed to the first version of Director
Okay.
way back in the day,
Okay.
right? And even black and white stuff on the Mac. All these different tools. I was like, oh my gosh, you can actually control things on the computer. This is
Right.
fascinating.
Right.
Well, fast forward, I ended up getting a job as an art director for an e-learning firm in 1994.
Okay.
And that particular firm, led by a man, Dick Hanshaw.
Okay.
Dick has co-authored books with Jack and Patty Phillips and Jim
Yeah.
and Dana Robinson, and he is well known for performance consulting. And Dick, in his infinite wisdom, would cross-train his associates if you wanted to, and I leaned into it. And not only was I able to take a performance consulting course with Jim Robinson, but also learn about instructional design to the point he's like, hey, I want you to go and write the storyboard. I'm like,
Okay.
okay, I'm
Okay.
usually doing the artwork for this thing, but I'll write the storyboard, and I end up doing the whole course. That was invaluable.
Yeah.
But I didn't have enough perspective then.
Okay.
That opportunity then led into me starting Lodestone, which became one of the top Adobe authorized training partners in the United States.
Okay.
I was the CEO, but I was also the lead consultant, and
Okay.
I would go into L&D departments and spin them up on tech. So
Got it.
I
Okay.
I would consider
I see.
myself an education technologist, because
Yes.
I have to go in, look
Yeah.
at the reality. It was mostly tool implementation, which is really
Okay.
easy, but there was some LMS, LXP implementations.
Sure.
So I kind of understood what was going on with the platform.
Okay.
Fast forward, and then in 2020, right before COVID, I was like, okay, I think I need a change. I have to put a pause on this business.
Okay.
So I put a pause. I went back into corporate for 3 years
Okay.
and worked for American Tire Distributors, which was a $5 billion supply chain company,
Sure.
and as an individual contributor.
Okay.
Very odd. But I think when I think about my career, I have made sacrifices, or I've done things where it's always been like 2 steps back, 3 steps forward.
Right.
And when I
Right.
was founding Lodestone, I partnered with a company, and I was like, I got into a situation where they were like one of the top Microsoft training providers in the state of North Carolina, and I was able to actually leverage their whole business
Right.
with a sacrifice on my end, but it helped me get to where I was going.
Yep.
And so the experience at American Tire was invaluable.
Right.
And it was because we were maturing not just an L&D function,
Right.
but also the relationship of that function within an organization, all under the HR umbrella, but the coordination of change management and comms, and then eventually marketing was all part of that.
Right.
So we were all running lockstep
Yeah.
to the point where change management will run interference with the business so that when a request would come in, it didn't go through L&D, it went through change.
Okay.
And so my partner, which was wonderful because we actually both graduated from RIT.
Okay.
About the same time. We were very simpatico.
Knew each other?
Yes.
Yeah.
And, well, we didn't know each other in school.
Okay.
Okay, it was only after the fact. I'm like, you went to RIT? What year did you graduate?
Okay.
Like, what?
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
So we got on pretty good. And bottom line is we had conversations around how you would take a project through change management gates and the parallel to performance consulting. They do integrate in together.
Right.
And so my partner over there, she would go in and just basically ask the business, what are we measuring?
Right. Right.
And like, wait, we just thought this was like a training request. We thought we'd just be able to get this stuff done.
Right.
Not that she'd ignore that, but it was more intentional.
Right.
And through that intention, you could easily like evaluate and go, oh no, this is a comms issue. Like we just got to get this information out, so people can act upon it through their expertise, as opposed to like building a course.
Yeah.
So things like that happen, and then, as everybody knows, in November of 2022, ChatGPT came out. We're almost on the 3rd anniversary. We're coming right up to it.
Yeah.
And I got my hands on it about a week later after it came out.
Yeah.
And of course, I was doing sophomore type stuff with it.
Simple prompts and
write me a limerick about me and my friends drinking beer.
Right.
Right. So things like that.
Having some fun.
But then I was like, wait, what? Can I do a learning objective?
Right. Right.
And it came back, and I'm like, does it do a video script? Because I'm a workflow junkie.
Yeah.
I've always, I felt it so much fun to go and just take a look at what's possible with technology and how to break apart how inputs and outputs. And so I was like, wait a second, could I transform a learning objective to a video script to a storyboard? And it started doing the thing. And I'm like,
steps and
in that moment, I was like, here we go.
Yeah.
This is another, having been in the space for so long, and you know, because we've gone through desktop computer, and then CD-ROM, and then internet, and then mobile, right? And all throughout that era, throughout that period, you have a lot of hits, but sometimes you got misses, like Google Glass or like all these things where people are like, oh, this is the next big thing, and it just doesn't take off.
Yeah.
I knew in my heart of hearts that AI was going to hit.
Yeah.
As long as it didn't implode with copyright issues, any legal things that were happening, it was going to make some kind of impact. I didn't know what.
Right.
And I was also chasing after it prior, because before speaking about AI, I spent 6 years talking about educational video.
Right.
And in those talks, I would mention how I thought AI was going to show up by identifying what was in the frame.
Yeah.
And through that, reconstitute videos and hyper-personalize it for learning.
Yeah.
So, the system would go in and through machine learning, remake the videos, and then send them out.
Right.
And so I was tracking AI, but not like what I thought was going to show up.
Yeah, right. It was such an explosion on the scene in the fall of 2022. And, going over your site and thinking back to this, you were publishing prompts and tools just a couple months afterwards. So you were very early on in this and saw this. And what's interesting about your background is you have this feels like a pattern. Like you saw waves before, you led change with clients inside ATD. So it feels like that this didn't just wake up one day and you decided to drive change in education on AI. What you'd done before really led to this. Yeah,
and I think what it is that I'm extremely pragmatic with technology.
Yeah.
I mean, to experiment, I may fanboy a little bit on some really cool things.
Right.
But it's really about, is this truly going to solve a problem?
That's right.
And so with ChatGPT, I was like, yes, this is going to massively solve a problem.
Right.
And so then I started posting things on LinkedIn. It started resonating, and then I would run weekend seminars. They were selling out. I was like, okay.
And these were in-person seminars?
They're online.
Okay.
They're online. So it was time to transition away from my corporate work and then start JoshCavalier.ai.
Yeah.
And that started in May of 23.
Okay. And today you're running cohorts of learners. You're gathering them. I understand both live for these sessions, like almost like a boot camp, a 3-day boot camp. And then you're doing these online as well, the ILT type sessions?
Yeah, it's actually gotten to the point now where I formed a partnership with ATD. And it's now an official certification program.
Wonderful.
So you can get credits for that.
Great.
And we're as we go into 26, it's both going to be in person and online. And of course, at corporate,
Wonderful.
customers. Yeah.
Wonderful. Awesome. So thanks for, and you've got a book coming out too. Can you tell us a little bit about the book? And
yeah, it's exciting. It comes out next week, next Tuesday, and it's called Applying AI in Learning and Development from Platforms to Performance, and it's really targeted towards learning professionals, both individual contributors and leaders, about how to navigate the reality of AI. And a lot of my peers are like, why would you write a book about AI? Because it's changing every week. I'm like, that is a great question.
The shelf life.
Yeah. But the reality is that the technology advances, and we know that it doubles in compute or power every 7 months. So it's rocketing forward. But a lot of organizations are slow boats, man.
Yeah.
It's slow to steer and turn the boat. And so there were patterns that as I was doing these seminars, I was doing these workshops, there were patterns that started to form in regards to how AI was showing up across the stack, both from a strategic standpoint and the tactics that people were using in the maturation within the L&D function. And the more I was experiencing this, I'm like, wait a second, like there's cause and effect here. You can't effectively implement AI unless you have everything organized with AI operations. And that is impacted by, are you on a Microsoft tenant? Are you on a Google tenant? So these patterns started to form. And I was like, I got to get this story out. And so I reached out to ATD Press, and they were like, wow, this is great. And so it was about from the time which was like June of 20 so that was June of 24. Is that right? 24. Yeah, June of 24. It takes a year to get these things rolling. And so it was about a year. But the common thread through the whole book is it's human. And that doesn't change. Now our role is going to change, and what we do day in and day out is going to change, but it's really about maintaining the humanity as you collaborate with AI, whether it be from a strategic standpoint and you're talking about the implementation of AI in a human capital management system, or you're doing prompts and you got a rockin' prompt and you put it in a prompt library and you share it with your peers.
As you've done, you've got 250 so prompts in your library. So
exactly, they share out.
That's fantastic. So let's think about this audience. You're interacting with a lot of people here at DevLearn. What is your advice to people who are new to generative AI or just getting their feet wet? Maybe they're coming at it with a little bit of fear. What's your advice to them?
You just got to lean into your expertise. And, it's about amplification of what you already know, and how you can collaborate with the technology, and also being able to go ahead and find your community. Like everybody, this technology is so different because it truly does erode or impact, the work that you do and how you do the work. And so, by finding your community, you're going to work with people and go towards this AI all together. Meaning that, like, if you take somebody who is tech adverse, and you stick them in a room with somebody who's gung ho about AI, it is oil and water. And so it takes time for that individual to think, okay, so maybe this isn't so scary. Maybe I can really use this. And if you find your community, it's so much easier for a group of people to go along that journey together.
Now, by community, do you mean L&D community, or do you mean designers or facilitators, or how do you think
it's wherever you find it? It could be a LinkedIn group. It could go ahead and be your local ATD chapter. It could go ahead and be finding your community here at a conference. You have to find your people. And even within your own organization, you may have a pocket or pockets of teams or just individuals that are all along the same wavelength. And then you're working.
Find that tribe.
Yeah, exactly.
So you've coined the Human Machine Performance Analyst. As a new. Tell us, is that a certificate? Is it
not yet
a role? Tell us what does it mean, and what is your vision for this?
Well, I know how new frameworks and new names, especially in this industry, people are like, oh god, here we go.
We love our acronyms.
Here we go with something else. And I thought long and hard about it. This just wasn't like, oh, I want to go and brand this or whatever. But if you break it down, human machine part is this new reality of learning professionals supporting the business and supporting individuals, not just with human performance, but humans working with AI.
Right.
What is the net performance and how does that show up?
Right.
Right. So that's one aspect of that's human machine. The performance analyst part, it's always been about performance. Like we're
Absolutely.
always trying to figure out
Yeah.
how do we optimize what's happening with the business so that
Yeah.
we can execute and the business can do what it needs to do.
Right.
The analyst part is really the acknowledgement of the transformation of this industry to where it's not so much content creation,
Yeah.
but it's really orchestration. So if
Yeah.
we orchestrate experiences, we got to be mindful of the data on the front end and what's the reality of the business.
Yep.
And as we then, okay, now it's a training issue, human and AI. So then we, orchestrate these learning experiences.
Yeah.
Are we moving the needle?
Right.
Like, okay, we
Right.
did all these great hyper-personalized experiences and
Yeah.
people consuming it. What happened
What
to the
happened?
business that week?
That's
What
right.
happened with frontline
Right.
sales? And
Yeah.
so, learning professionals are going to play on the edges.
That's right.
They're going to play on the edges of the learning journey. And so that is the performance analyst part.
Yeah.
And then the bonus of all of this is that through like a rebrand, people will be like, oh, well, maybe this isn't like a cost center.
Yeah.
Maybe as a performance analyst, like you could, this is like a
Right.
really
Right.
legit business focused, business focused role.
Yeah.
And so there's a little bit, there's some intentional rebranding here.
Yeah.
And I was, and if I really shot for the moon, then would be the human performance, human machine performance function.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, in a way, I know it's so painful to kind of go through change as instructional designers and content creators, but content has never really been what learning is about.
Exactly. That's right.
And so this is a blessing in many ways because it takes us back to the core, which is the business performance on the front end and measuring that impact on the back end. So,
yeah, and I think also another proficiency is working with HR, because the other reality, and this just came up this morning at the AI ethics session that I was facilitating, and somebody mentioned that they were introducing avatars that were starting to erode away at their actual trainers' responsibilities. And the trainers are like, what's happening to our jobs? You're now using avatars to go out and spin up call center people.
Right.
That is a reality. Like, what is the line of sight to somebody within an organization to where their role is being and tasks that they're performing is being eroded away by AI?
Right.
What is their new marching orders? Like, what is their line of sight? What is their 5-year trajectory at that organization if AI is taking away their tasks?
Yep.
Like, somebody's got to need to figure that out.
Yep.
You can't have individuals working at your organization and they see, even if they're like, oh my gosh, if they're passionate about what they do, and those things are taken away because AI is now doing it, what are you going to do to give them a path forward?
That's right.
Yes, exactly.
That's right. I'd like to close a little lightning round here,
Okay.
Josh. Okay, so the future of generative AI is?
I think the future of generative AI is multimodal. It's going to be being able, especially for individuals who have never done video before or wanted to write that song or create that image. It's all going to be theater of the mind and making it come true.
Awesome. The most overrated generative AI aspect is?
I think in regards to being overrated right now is video.
Okay.
I'm sorry, all my video vendors.
All right.
Keep working at it. There's a lot of great pointed solutions, but I think it is a medium, unfortunately, because of the ease of creation, may be abused out there. So there's going to be some maturation around that area.
Okay, and let's take the flip side. What's the most underrated generative AI capability today?
Audio. All the way. I truly do believe 2026 is going to be like the year of audio, to where we're going to have bi-directional audio-based experiences that are truly, truly impactful. And you can see it happen now just with audio creation.
Okay.
We just got to the inflection point to where you cannot tell it's AI.
Yes.
And to where now we have bi-directional audio to where we can go in and have real-time coaching experiences. And I'm seeing things that are out there to where even you take a SME and their body of knowledge and you layer on top of it with AI, optimal coaching techniques.
Right.
So I mean, that is a
Right.
win-win.
Right.
You have somebody who's very knowledgeable about an area, and now they're an optimal coach.
Right.
Wow. I mean,
Right.
that's like really powerful.
It's really incredible. Yeah. So, Josh, thank you so much for
Yeah,
joining us
thank
today
you.
and joining
Yeah,
Being
this is
Intrepid.
great.
So, if our listeners would like to get a hold of you, learn more about it, go to your website.
Yeah.
Okay.
JoshCavalier.ai. Of
Okay.
course, I'm up on LinkedIn.
Okay.
They can also find me. I'm kicking back in Brainpower Live on Fridays
Awesome.
to help
Okay.
support the book and all this new information that I have out there. So yeah, that's how you can find me.
Okay, so audience, check out Josh's new book. I'm definitely going to grab a copy myself. And thank you so much for tuning in. And keep on learning and stay curious. And we'll join us for the next episode. All right, thanks. Take care.